Well, we have the one and only Avery Anderson here with us today. Ferron Flavors will be coming through shortly, and then we'll get to Coach Boynton. Go ahead and raise your hands, and we will start with our questions today. The first one will come from Jacob Unruh with the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Avery, how are you today?
How you doing?
Good, good. There you are. I was like, I couldn't see you or hear you. You seem like you settled in the starting role. What's kind of been different for you since and moving to the starting lineup against Texas, I guess, a couple months ago?
Yes, sir. Just coming in starting, just making sure I have that same energy that I came in off the bench, and just making sure I do the little things for my team, like rebounding, getting stops on the defensive end, and scoring the ball if that's what they need me to do. So just doing whatever my team needs me to do.
You've scored more in that role too, and you said last time your shot felt like that was your biggest improvement. Do you still feel that way? Is there other stuff coming along too, or what?
Yes, sir. I still feel that way. Just taking some of the pressure off of the main scorers like Cade, Ice, just giving them another like spot to look at. I guess if they get double teamed like Cade, he gets it on the block a lot, and they double team him. So just having that kick out and being able to knock the shot down for him.
How much are you trying to help these young guys? I mean, you're young yourself, but you've had more experience than most of the rosters. So how you trying to help these guys in this role that you're in?
Just telling them that it's a long season and you may have some ups and downs, but you just gotta keep going and stay the course and stay in the gym, keep putting in work because it's a long season and it's a grind and you gotta be willing to stay the course.
Awesome. Thanks, Avery.
Yeah.
And your next question from Marshall Scott. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Avery, just kind of how has the team responded in practice today and on the bus ride home, I guess, from a emotional loss on Wednesday?
It was a real tough one that we had lost. So in the locker room, it was no talking. Packing up, it was no talking. On the bus ride, silent. So you could tell people had took it really hard. And so coming back yesterday, we had a weight room. We watched film. Everybody was really engaged, I felt like, and just knowing what we had to do to move on and not dwell on the loss against TCU and just come out tomorrow and get the job done and everybody do what they're capable of doing to get the dub.
You mentioned your shot earlier. Last season, looked a couple days ago, you shot 8% from 3-point range. This year, you're near
7%.
Okay, this year you're near 40, hanging around there. I didn't check it from last night, but kind of what work went into that? What did you do over the off season to improve that?
Just every day over quarantine, I was going to the gym, just finding anywhere I could get in and get more shots up because I ain't never shoot like that. Like in high school, I always shot like 40, 30, something like that. And just coming in freshman year, I don't know what happened, but like I just know I had to keep grinding to get back to where I was, and that's what I did over the summertime.
As a team, you guys kind of had struggled finding that 3-point shooter as the years gone on, as the season kind of progressed. You guys have gotten better at it here lately. Did you kind of take that role on yourself with guys like Ice and Cade, primarily cutting to the basket? Did you kind of know that you were going to need to shoot more threes?
I did because, like you said at the beginning, we were struggling a little bit from the 3-point line, and so I mean, you got to win some games shooting the tray ball. So I knew I had to step up a little bit and knock down some shots for us, and everybody's coming along well with getting their stroke back, and that's what we need to win.
You've been around Ice for 2 years now. He's on a little bit of a cold streak. Kind of how have you seen him deal with it, and how do you think he's going to get out of it?
He's going to get out of it. I believe in him. Everybody believes in him. He's just a hard worker, and you can tell he just comes in with the same mentality every day to get better, always talkative. He's always leading. And me and Kay, everybody on the team, really. But he's going to get back to the new Ice.
All right. Appreciate it, Avery.
Your next question is from Frank Bonner. Go ahead, Frank.
Hey, Avery, how does adding that 3-point shot help you in your driving game, knowing the defenders have to play you at the 3-point line now?
Yeah, I would say it's making the game more easier because they have to like I could tell if the defender's guarding me real tight, then I could use my ability to go bomb and make a play. And if they sag off and still think like they testing the jump shot, I could just pull it. And that it helped a lot from Coach B and all the staff and my teammates believing in me to knock down the shot. So I give a lot of praise to them too for believing in me.
And in these last 4 games, Moncrief has come on real strong for you guys. Having that presence inside, what does that do for the guard play, knowing that, some of the defensive pressure can be taken off you guys with them looking at Moncrief?
Man, May has been playing big because he's on the offensive end, I would say, because offensive rebounds, he's been getting a lot of offensive rebounds. And so that's been really getting us a lot of second chance points that we needed. And also being really good on the defensive end, going to the glass against the bigger cats like Samuel he was playing against. And then also Baylor Biggs, he had a real good game. And so I would say he just got to keep going, though. We need him to be the same dude for us to keep going.
And now, this is the second game for you guys against Texas. Looking back at that first game, what are some things that you guys are going into this game trying to focus on?
And going in the game tomorrow, I would say we talked about guarding the three-point line better, rebounding the ball a lot much better, and also just staying in front of the ball and not letting them on the free throw line a lot, taking off the free throw line.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Next question from Danielle Dwyer. Go ahead, Danielle.
Yeah, Avery, I wanted to ask you, what was the biggest takeaway that you guys had now that you're a couple of days removed from that loss, that you feel you can apply moving forward? It was just kind of, you guys all kind of seemed off, I feel, watching it. It just wasn't the ball we're used to seeing. But what was the biggest takeaway, would you say, for you guys?
I would say our defense. We wasn't really tuned in on the defensive end because we didn't really play like how we used to play defense against other teams. And so I would say getting back to that grit on the defensive end, getting back to that, and that's what we really got the takeaway from on the defensive end.
Does it? I don't know how I want to word this. Sorry, but I guess knowing the opponent you're going up against tomorrow, not that you can overlook anybody in the Big 12 because it's the Big 12, but knowing the caliber of opponent you're going up against, you both are coming off losses. Does that add to that how close that first matchup against Texas was for you guys? Now you have them at home. Does it add to that motivation to bounce back from this one?
Of course, we both everybody wants to win in the Big 12. So if you lose, you better have that kill mentality for the next game because you don't want to get beat. I would hope everybody hates losing. So us to go against them, and we both had L's the last game, I would say it would be a big challenge for both of the teams, really, but mostly for them because I would say we at home, so we got a crowd behind us. And so it's going to be harder for them to try to get that energy. And I'll say we got the upper hand.
How have you seen Cade respond now that he's had 2 games back since being out? What have you seen from him that's maybe stuck out to you just about his response and getting back to kind of game shape and dealing with the aftermath, of COVID and all that?
I would say he's getting back pretty well. I would say I think he was gonna get back like a little bit worse, like conditioning wise, but he seemed like pretty fine to me. As you can tell, he's doing what he's doing like the last game, so he seemed pretty fine to me.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
And a follow-up question from Jacob. Go ahead, Jacob.
Avery, I'm not sure you said this. If you did, I'm sorry, but who was kind of the biggest help for you when you were working on your shot?
I would say my dad helped me a lot with watching film from the last games, and also my friend's dad. I used to play high school with. He really could shoot it, and he was just telling me how I was bringing the ball up too high or whatever. I wasn't really having it in my shot pocket. And so that's what really helped me. Watching film with my pops and my friend's dad helped me get it in my shot pocket and ready to shoot.
Did you just feel kind of out of whack last season shooting then? Did you notice it?
Yeah, I would say that. I just didn't feel right, I would say. I had lost a lot of confidence, I would say, in my shot. Not hitting a lot of shots from high school. I mean, not hitting a lot of shots from last year and hitting a lot of shots from high school. That transition was really like weird for me. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
We probably have time for one more follow-up if there's any takers. Well, Marshall Scott. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Avery, after I think it was the Iowa State game, I asked Rondell about your isolation game, and he said you're probably on the team the toughest to guard off 3 dribbles. MA, for what it's worth, said you weren't. So kind of where did you develop that skill? Obviously, your quickness, God given, kind of helps a little bit, but where did you kind of develop that skill to take guys on one-on-one?
To be honest, I would say just watching a lot of YouTube highlights of Allen Iverson. I would say AI, Chris Paul, you know, Baron Davis, and just a lot of the one-on-one guards when I was little. And then in the house, I used to dribble the ball. I used to dribble the ball when my mom wasn't home, because if she was home, she would tell me to stop dribbling. And so I used to hate it when she say that. So I used to practice all the time when I was by myself, just dribbling, going around the chairs, doing everything. So I would say when I was younger, just watching that and then dribbling inside the house really helped me.
If I imagine you're going to say that you're the best ISO guy on the team, but who would be second best?
Yeah, that as well. Yeah, that as well.
Who would be the second best on the team?
I would say it's tied, because MA and Cade, they could both get it done. And I would say one Cade, Bryce too. So I would say it's a tie between MA, Cade, and Bryce.
Gotcha. All right, appreciate it, Dave.
Well, thank you for joining us, sir. We'll be right back with Ferron Flavors.
Thank you, Mr. Steven.
Start recording here. Got our hands raised already. Mr. Flavors is in the house, so we will get started with our first question from Jacob. Go ahead, Jacob.
Ferron, it's good to see you. How you doing?
I see you too. I'm doing good.
Good. Hey, how'd you feel the other night getting back in the game with your hand and hitting a couple threes?
It felt great. Just being able to be back out there with the guys, being able to be back competing again. It felt really good. It was felt like a long process getting back healthy, but I feel better than I felt all season.
What exactly was the injury, and do you know when you suffered it?
So I messed up a couple ligaments in my pointing finger on my shooting hand. So I really originally did it in October. So it kind of started to heal. So I kind of just kept playing through it. But if you noticed earlier in the year, I was playing with tape around 2 of my pointing finger, my middle finger. So just trying to protect it and stuff. And then I ended up re-hurting it again. Right before Christmas break. So then, that's kind of around the time when my minutes dropped down a lot. And I talked to the coach and stuff, and, we just kind of decided, that it would be best to just take that time and get it back healthy and be able to be, 100% down the stretch. So
how much did that impact your shot, dealing with that? And then how tough was it to kind of keep your confidence up as you're struggling with your shot?
Yeah, it definitely impacted a lot. Usually when I shoot, I like to shoot off of my fingertips, like most good shooters do. So it was kind of, the pain of having to, shoot the ball and release every time I shot. It hurt pretty bad. So, it kind of affected a lot of things. Kind of affected how much I would, how many extra reps I would get up and, being able to get arc under my shot and stuff like that. I think it definitely had a big impact on how I was shooting the ball, definitely at the beginning of the season.
I know Mike said at the time you didn't want your confidence to get hurt by the injury. Was that a risk for you? Do you feel like you were struggling mentally a little bit too?
Yeah, because I knew that I was missing shots that I normally make. And then it got to the point where I felt like I was, I'm always team first, and I felt like I was, letting my teammates down, letting the program down just because, I have a job to do here. I wasn't able to do my job to my fullest capabilities. So, in return, I was taking minutes away from guys that were healthy. I just want to, make sure that whenever I'm on the court, I'm able to be confident and, actually provide an impact to the team.
Awesome. Thanks, Ferron.
Our next question is from Frank Bonner. Go ahead, Frank.
Hey, Fran, with you having a hand injury versus like a knee injury, were you still able to keep your conditioning up while you were out?
Oh yeah. No, me and Coach Jake, we did a lot of conditioning. I probably ran the stairs in Gallagher 1,000 times, while I was out, and a lot of sprints, ran a lot of miles on the treadmill. I was still able to do some lifts, but mostly stuff that was kind of body weight things, strictly because when I was in the cast, I couldn't really hold like a dumbbell or like a bar or stuff like that. So a lot of body weight stuff, and a lot of running for sure.
So did you feel any difference when you actually got back into the game? Were you winded at all?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely felt the difference, but as time went on, I was able to kind of catch myself back up pretty quickly. I've been playing college basketball for a while now, so I already knew kind of what to expect. So it wasn't too bad of an adjustment. Though.
Now, is that like a one game thing, or in your second game, do you feel like there'll be some of that lingering going on, or are you kind of good to go now?
I feel like I'm good to go now. Obviously, it's one of those things where you're playing at a competitive level, so every game presents challenges of its own. Texas, they play fast, so same as we do. So it'd be a real up and down pace game. So I'm curious to see really the work that I put in show up there too. So.
Appreciate you.
Next question from Chris Winger. Go ahead.
Hey, Ferron, can you walk me through that moment when you got to step back on that court again and you put up that three pretty quickly?
Yeah, I mean it was a good feeling. Kind of just I didn't know really how much I was gonna play or anything like that. I was just over there just ready to go whenever coach called my name. So when he did, I was excited. Everybody was excited for me to get back on the court also. And then when I put up my first shot, it felt good. The first one came off, I think it was in the corner. It felt good. I knew that I got a pretty clean look. So, I knew if I got another one, I was going to knock it down. A couple plays later, I got one in the left corner and knocked that one down. Then they think they called a timeout. That probably felt best I felt all season, to be honest. It was just, just excited, a big sigh of relief, being able to come out there and, actually shoot the ball without any pain. It felt pretty good. So.
Right. And then on a different note, we've seen Avery grow a lot this season. How have you seen him grow on the court?
Yeah, I mean, Avery, he's a hard worker, man. He's one of the hardest working dudes I've ever been around. Guys will tell you in the gym early, before practice, 6 a.m., whenever he gets in here, he goes hard. So, to see it translating and, his confidence just continuing to grow. It's a nice thing to see. He's shooting the ball with a lot of confidence, and in return, he's playing well, playing really well for us.
Thanks, Ferron.
Follow up from Marshall Scott. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Ferron, you talked about confidence earlier and how after you hit that first one, you felt pretty good. Then you had another one that was late and it was a pretty clutch shot. It ended up not being the difference, but how did you feel after that one went in?
Yeah, that one felt good too. I feel like if I'm able to get a clean look, I feel like I'm able to, extend the floor from, well behind the 3-point line. So, I think that one, I felt like it was a big shot, especially in the moment. We had a couple lapses that us, losing, dropping that game. But I feel like that definitely helped us a lot though down the stretch.
How you mentioned it happened in October. How did it start? Was it like a jam? How did it start?
Honestly, I'm not exactly 100% sure. But I'm pretty sure I hit it pretty hard in practice I think it was on somebody. And it swelled up really bad. I remember the next day of practice, I actually didn't do anything offensive related. I kind of told coach then. So I only did like defensive stuff, so I didn't really have to use my hand that much. So kind of just that. It was hurting for really a couple weeks bad. Like real throbbing pain, and then it started to kind of subside and die down some. So I didn't really think anything of it, but I knew that our trainer he said to keep taping it and kind of protecting it some. So that's kind of what I did. But I looking back at it, I kind of wish I would have just took the time then, rather than waited until after the season were to the point where I felt like I really needed to just stop. But you live and you learn. So.
All of the guys in your timeout, they've said, you've been the loudest on the bench. For a graduate transfer, an older guy, that's kind of got to be tough knowing that you're sitting out. Kind of what's motivated you to motivate the team?
Well, I kind of look back to when I redshirted at my last school when I transferred there. I felt that it was kind of like sort of the same thing for me. That's kind of the mindset that I tried to take from it. It was me and Coach EP. We did a lot of talking. Gave me a book. I've been reading a lot of stuff like that during my time out. So, just trying to make sure that I kept my mind sharp and engaged during the time while I was out. So, when I did come back, I wasn't, fighting, trying to, get back in shape, trying to, get my shot back feeling good, trying to juggle a bunch of things rather than, just making sure that my mind is in the right place. Because when your mind's in the right place, it's pretty easy to jump back on board with different things. So,
is there anything that you've noticed or any points that you've taken away from the team in your absence that you've been able to kind of see from a different angle?
Yeah, I seen kind of just different things where my experience is going to help us down the road. Especially down the stretch of these last 9 games, I believe. Just being, I'm not a very, very vocal person. Everybody, the guys know that, but I'm pretty good at pulling guys aside and different things like that, and pointing out things that I see. So I feel like down the stretch, that's something that will definitely be needed from me. And also just being able to slow the team down and step up and make big shots that we've tended to go on a lot of scoring droughts down the stretch of the game. So hopefully when coach puts me in there now when the games are kind of winding down and stuff like that, I'll be able to help alleviate some of those droughts.
Appreciate it, Ferron.
We probably have time for another follow-up if there is one. Frank, go ahead.
Yeah, Ferron, I just wanted to ask you about Texas. Now you guys played them, last game. This is being the second time. What are you focusing on going in as a team?
Just competing, and also we gotta hit the glass pretty hard. I think they kind of beat us pretty good on the glass last game. So we're gonna take a lot of pride in that. Because we feel like we can score with anybody and guard with anybody else. So I think just making sure that we're able to close out these possessions when we do a good job guarding for 25, 30 seconds, and not allowing offensive rebound and things like that, making us have to, sit on defense for a long extensive time when, we can really close those possessions out and, be able to come down on the other end and get a good look.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Well, Ferron, we appreciate you joining us, and we'll be right back with Coach Mike.
I appreciate you guys.
Perfect. We will get started then. Thank you for joining us. Obviously, coming off a tough loss, but don't have long to lick your wounds. We've got a good Texas team coming in here and another Big 12 battle with a quick turnaround to Kansas. After you watched the tape, what did you see after the game on Wednesday?
We didn't play very well, urgency. And, because of that, the team in our league, a good team like they all are, jumped on us and made us fight back. So, we did respond, but we didn't do enough, obviously, to put ourselves in a real position to play as well as we're capable of. And we had a chance late, but I tell the guys all the time, you can't cheat the game. And some things went against us late in that game. But, if we do what we're supposed to do early, I feel more confident that we wouldn't have been in that position. So, the thing about it is, like you said, can't dwell on it. We don't start down 10 because we lost the other day, just like we don't start up 10 when we win. We have to make sure that tomorrow we come out. We have to have a better focus, a better urgency, and that we play, certainly from the start of the game much better than we did the other day.
Terrific. Well, your first question will be from Jacob. Go ahead, Jacob.
Mike, how do you feel like your guys have responded in the 2 days, 2 practices since?
There was a lot of disappointment from our guys, certainly after the game. We got a lot of guys from the area who probably had quite a few people there and showing ways. We're a little embarrassed by the way they performed. They've been focused in practice the last couple of days. I think they understand what's at stake here as we go into tomorrow, and know we've got a long road to hoe ahead of us. So I've been pleased with practice, and I look forward to seeing how we respond in the game.
On a different topic, Avery, his numbers have really jumped since he's been in the starting lineup. How have you seen him kind of grow this season?
I think just comfort. I mean, we always talk about process. Like, it's a real thing. It's not just like a term. It's a real thing. Guys have to learn college basketball, how they can do the things that we're expecting from them without losing who they were that got them here. And so Avery was a ball dominant, elite athletic scoring guard in high school, really all his life. And he came here, he had to transition to playing a little bit less on the ball with Ice last year, and certainly a little bit more, even with Cade this year. But still, at his core, he can really score. He can score with anybody. And I'm not sure if he's not as good as anybody on our team in terms of just being able to go get a bucket. And so I think he's got more comfortable being able to do that within the framework of who we are now. But it's also much more settled defensively. He creates a lot of problems for the other team.
I was going to ask, you mentioned going to get a bucket. In ISO, he's been really good. Is that an area he's improved on as well? Yeah,
I mean, he's gotten better there. But that's something that he actually has been really good at all his life. He's got, extreme quickness, pretty good handles, and he's improved his jump shot, which has really, really helped him the most.
Thanks, Mike.
And the next question will be from Marshall Scott. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Mike, we've talked this year that, teams have gone on runs against you guys. Obviously, Texas had that 17-0 run. With Ferron back, he kind of mentioned this, that he's noticed from the outside that he might be able to stop some of those runs with a big shot or two. Is that something that you think can really help you guys, kind of eliminate these runs that teams are going on against you guys?
Like him individually?
Yeah, like him hitting a three to maybe stop like a 10-0 or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, no question. At some point, one way or the other, he certainly can help our team in that regard, offensively, spacing the floor, making shots. And I certainly think I was pleased that he was able to come back and still have the level of confidence. But again, it's why we take our time and make sure that the guys are completely comfortable before they get back on the court. But he's certainly somebody that can bring another element to our team, and making shots is something that's going to be critical for us tomorrow. The problem the other night is we didn't guard anybody. And, we scored 78 points on the road and lost. And, we got to be much better now as defensive men.
Kind of during the game, Cade was getting it from the TCU student section. We talked this year about, no fans, and he's kind of lose a little bit of that experience, kind of stepping away from it, not thinking about the final score. Was that fun to see him kind of have that interaction?
Yeah, to a certain degree. There's a line you can cross. I don't think he crossed the line, but I want these kids to enjoy it. I mean, sometimes we get so caught up in all those little things that we forget they're 19-year-old kids. Like, they're supposed to be having fun doing this. And if they're not, they probably should do something else. Like, this is really hard stuff. And doing it during the pandemic, even more so. So I don't mind. I talk to the guys at the scores table all the time when I can, if they're close enough. So I have a good time out there as well. So I don't have any issue with the kids, getting emotional and playing a game with some juice.
Is there anything different about Texas now than when you guys played them in December?
Well, they were deep and long and athletic when we played them before. And somehow they're deeper and they didn't get shorter and they didn't lose any athleticism. So yeah, they're better than even then. And they were really good then. So we got our hands full. They're a really good team. They got a lot of chemistry. Those guys have been together for a while, and we'll have to play with an edge to put ourselves in position.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
And next question is from Frank Bonner. Go ahead, Frank.
Hey, Mike, go along with the crowd question. Do you think having a home field advantage in a game like this will be that much beneficial, even with the limited crowd?
I think our crowds have been really good. I think our fans have responded to this deal as well as any other place I've been. And having our students back certainly enhanced that even more. So, I like that we have people here. I know not everybody's having that opportunity. So I think having students, but specifically students, but having fans in general always enhances the environment of a game. But students have a certain way about, creating even more intensity and energy in the building. And we've been the beneficiary around here of having a student crowd, particularly this year. That's been, even during the break, I thought we had a lot of students coming through. And so I'm very appreciative of them and look forward to them. And we got, knock on wood, because you don't know if you're going to get them all in, 5 home games left. And I hope we get as many people as possible in here for them.
And then you guys have had a lot of close games, this season, and Cade's had the ball in his hands. Some of the times this went well for you guys. Other times, a missed shot here and there, it happens. How have you seen him work through those moments when he makes the big play and when he doesn't go his way late in the game?
The process doesn't change. Really, a lot of what happens for people outside is everything's outcome driven. And that's easy, right? The question was, should I call the timeout? Tomorrow, in the tie, I'm telling you guys now, tomorrow in the tie game, if we're tied, we have the ball with 20 seconds to go, there's no shot clock, I'm not going to call timeout. Just not going to do it. There's no need to do that unless we're in trouble, like unless we're in a corner and trapped. But we're going to let the kids go make the play that we recruited them to go make. But it's easy after the fact to say that you should have. A timeout doesn't guarantee anything. It just, you're going to run what you're going to run, and it is what it is. So in terms of his process, it's the same thing. Whether you make the shot or miss the shot, that's not the result. That's not how you just adjust on how you approach the process, right? Is your process good? Did you make the right read? And in that situation, what we talked about was, what did you see? And the next time we're in that situation, what should we look for? And it's really that simple. And then you trust the outcome and you live with the result and you move on. And he probably went a little early, right? That was probably the mistake, but he saw he had a little bit of an opening and it just didn't finish. But he's made tons of plays. He's going to have the ball in his hands for me and for some NBA franchise a lot more in his life.
And then I want to ask you a quick question about MA. These last 4 games, he's come on real strong for you guys. You talked about with Avery about just learning the game. How have you seen MA do that in his first season?
with MA, it was a little bit different just because of the way he plays and the position we're asking him to play. And we've done a little bit more lately of allowing him to initiate offense and be more of a ball handling playmaker for us. But he's played the 4 and 5 a lot for us, and that's not necessarily where the full part of his future is. He's not going to be inside that much. He's an athletic guy who can handle it and drive by people. So he had to adjust to the way we were using him early, and he got comfortable with that. And now we're allowing him to expand into some other roles where we think he can be really effective long term. And I could certainly see him transforming it at some point into a true point forward type player who can make an impact on all parts of the court, because he's a good passer as well. And obviously he's a really good finisher. And, probably the next step is getting him a consistent jump shot, which will make him even more difficult to deal with.
Thank you, Mike.
Your next question is from Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Coach. Ferron talked about, how he wanted first to try to play through that injury. What were those conversations like with him when talking about, maybe sitting out a little bit?
Just honest, open dialogue. I never want a kid to play when he's not totally in the right space mentally. And an injury is not just a physical deal. Sometimes it makes you a little less aggressive. Sometimes it makes you a little bit more reluctant to make an aggressive defensive play or dive on the ball. And anytime you have those things in your mind and you're not clearly focused on trying to help your team win, you're not going to be as effective. And so we told him, until you get to that space, we need to just sit you. And we put him in a cast and let it heal a little bit and got out of it and worked him back. And it was just open. And, he felt like he could maybe have given it a shot last week against Arkansas. He wasn't quite ready yet, but Wednesday he was a little bit more ready, and we needed him. He made 2 really, really big shots for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, the next question from Jimmy Gillespie. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Hey, Coach. I know Ice is coming off a game that probably was one of his better games this season. How have you seen him kind of bounce back, and how have you seen him respond, and how much do you need to kind of bounce back tomorrow?
Yeah, I never worry about Ice, ever. I mean, on the list of guys that I'm concerned about, he's literally last because I know who he is at his core, and I know the pride he has to go out and do whatever he needs to do for our team. And the kid's literally just been playing on really 1.5 feet in the last month. And, he's a kid who's a warrior. He wants to do everything he can. That means that sometimes his numbers don't always reflect his ability, but he wants to be out there to help us win. And so I knew the other night when he couldn't go back in, it must have been pretty serious. I think he'll give it a go tomorrow. We'll see how it goes to start. But I certainly expect him to be in the right space mentally and certainly ready to help us.
Yeah. And on a side note, I know it's February now. Are you on your annual diet?
I am. I got a bag of you guys can't see. This is like I eat like 2 bags of these a day. I realize every February that my favorite snack is apples and peanut butter, and then I drink a bunch of tropical smoothie. So that's my diet most of the time.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
Your next question is from Marshall Scott. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Mike, you mentioned Ice being on 1.5 feet. Is it an ankle? Is it a foot itself? Kind of what's going on with that?
It's a foot. It's a foot. Just some foot pain. I mean, I don't think there's anything structural. We've done an X-ray and MRI, so there's nothing broken. But that's what sometimes you deal with going through a season. You get banged up, you get bruised, and some guys have a little bit more tolerance for pain and can fight through, and some guys have less. And I think he's going to continue to try to give us everything he can.
And then you mentioned earlier hoping to get all the home games in. You still have that West Virginia game that hasn't been rescheduled. Is there talk about not rescheduling it? Kind of what's the status of that game?
I mean, I think the league, and this is a league decision, I think the league wants to try to get every game in to the degree that they can. Obviously that week is open at the end of the regular season. I would guess, and no one's told me this, but I would guess that that's what, they would look at. But I haven't been told anything definitive on that.
And there's been some teams around the country that have lost a lot of games, or not had to get a lot of games rescheduled. There's been talk about maybe not playing conference tournaments. Do you have a view on that at all, or are you too focused on what's going on?
Like an opinion on whether we should play the tournament or not?
Yeah. Would you rather have everybody get on all their regular season games, or have to cut some short to get to the conference tournaments?
I'm kind of, I guess I'm indifferent, to be honest. I like the conference tournament. It's another opportunity to play for a championship. I'm always up for playing for championships. But if we don't, I understand. But that certainly will be a decision made probably about 16 steps above my head.
Gotcha.
All the other head coaches in the league first, and then the administrators, and I get like the last vote, and my vote counts only for half.
If you're 16, I'm probably in the 30s, maybe. Thanks, Mike.
And a follow-up from Frank Bonner. Go ahead, Frank.
Hey, Mike, I'm just curious. Have you ever had any players try to get in on the February diet action? And if so, did you have to advise against it because of, basketball reasons?
Yeah, so Thomas Zagwa, you guys would be shocked to hear this, thought that he could do it. And he's a pretty strong-willed kid, but he tried to do it during basketball season when he's playing. I'm not playing anymore. Like, this is a disaster, even for a guy who doesn't play. But I think he thought he was going to die, like literally day 3, which happens. Like, it happens, trust me. And he gave it up. So it's not I don't advise it. Even the guys who try to act like they want to try, I tell them definitely don't try it during the season. But it's probably more advisable not to do it at all.
Yeah, I did the Daniel fast a couple years ago, and it was it tests you. It definitely does.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Appreciate you.
And then a follow-up from Jimmy Gillespie. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Well, and Coach, on that diet note, have you thought about not doing it, or is it just something you just have to do every year, like for your own sake?
You know what? I have. Mainly because my wife hates it. And so I'm not very well liked in my own house in February. And that complicates my life a little bit. So I've thought about not doing it probably for the last 5 years, but I've told her that it's on her to come up with something else. I need something. Still, the point is, how do I train this discipline that I'm after so much? And this is the way that I know, and I know it works. And so until she can come up with something better, she's stuck with it. But she did. She has become a little bit more creative. She made me some edamame noodles the other day. I never had those. They actually were pretty good. And she made me a vegetarian chili last night. It's carrots and tomatoes and all kinds of crazy stuff. It was pretty good. So she's trying to do her part to at least ensure that I'm actually eating food, because otherwise she thinks that I'm just snacking on peanuts and raisins all day long.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Jacob, you got one more? Go ahead.
Mike, on the topic of the schedules, moving the Texas Tech game kind of spreads out that week a little bit. You got 3 games that week. What is your opinion on playing 3 games in a week? I don't think we've asked you that.
I don't know if I have I'll be honest. Like, I can't even see that far. Like, I test 4 days a week. I'm worried about test results coming back like every 24 hours. Like, I'm just not wired to think about that many things at one time. I know some people are really good at that, but I'm like, I just can't. I don't have the ability. It may be something I need to try to develop, but I haven't given one thought to what we're going to do that week.
All right, fair enough. I mean, so I would assume no thoughts then on back-to-back bedlams then either, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks,
I
Mike.
mean, and Stephen Howard should know this. I mean, he talked about Saturday, Monday. I just want to try to get to tomorrow at 2:00.
That's all you can do this year, right?
Yeah. Make sure that my wife lets me stay at home tonight, because I'm not going to eat, and then get to the game tomorrow. That's it.
Perfect. All right. We'll tell Jenny and the kids hi, too.
We'll do it.
Well, thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time, Coach, and we'll talk to everyone after the game tomorrow.